Hello and welcome to another episode of the Vegan Next Door podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Price, and each week I'll be bringing you a new episode discussing different topics related to how and why to go vegan, as well as how to live a more compassionate, ethical lifestyle, and to inspire those around you to do so. This podcast is for anyone who's ever thought about going vegan, vegetarian, or for anyone who is already vegan and vegetarian, a sense of community so that way you can continue to make these ethical choices and to encourage those around you to do the same and continue to better your own corner of the world. You can follow me on Instagram at the Vegan Next Door Cast. Please watch my stories as well as my posts. You can also like my page on Facebook, The Vegan Next Door, and you can join the Facebook group, The Vegan Next Door Group, on Facebook to discuss weekly shows and anything of your fancy. Please join and add to the discussion. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 10. Wow, it's pretty cool getting to 10. Feels like a milestone. It also feels like a while. I have switched, if you've seen me on social media and also just noticed the lack of podcasts the last couple weeks, I've switched to doing the show bi-weekly. So I hope that that's okay with everybody. I realized that, working a full-time job, I'm in my 200-hour yoga teacher training, which is pretty intensive. And then also just, keeping my sanity. So sleeping, eating meals, enjoying time with my loved ones, and chilling out a little bit. Needed to kind of move it down to once every other week instead of once a week to produce the podcast. But also, I realized that I'm starting to have more patrons on Patreon, and I want to be able to create more content for them, which is what it's all about, is creating additional exclusive content for the patrons. So in order to have time to do that as well, I'm making these bi-weekly. So if you're missing out on the shows, if you want more, that's awesome. Let me know and become a patron, because depending on what some of the feedback is, I can do additional podcast episodes that are only open to patrons. That's something I'm considering. As well as already, if you're a patron, you receive guides on different things that I talk about in the podcast, like the first few episodes of like shopping guides and things like that. And then I'm going to be working with somebody on like a meal plan and kind of like a one-on-one thing as a patron. And so as we bring more people into the fold, kind of let me know what you want. Like, I feel like I want to be able to help everybody, but especially if you're a patron, then you'll get priority over, what you want to see in the show, or if you want more one-on-one help on going vegan, or, losing weight through a healthy plant-based diet or anything like that. Because I've mentioned on the show, I have lost, what is it now? 35 pounds in the last year. So I'm like getting closer to my goal weight, although as I gain muscle, I don't have just a number on the scale goal. It's kind of an all-around healthy and fit kind of thing, so it's all subjective, but if that's like something you're into, let me know, and I can do another podcast episode on it for sure, or not another, but I could do a special podcast episode on it. But anyway, sorry. So I normally just start with my own personal life updates, but I felt like this podcast update played into also my personal life update, because I am switching gears a little bit. So anyway, what I've been up to lately. Well, I celebrated my birthday. It was my 25th birthday. So that's pretty cool. And I don't know if, did I talk about this in the last episode? Went to a winery, went to the movies, saw the Winnie the Pooh movie. It was amazing, by the way. Oh my God. You have to go see it. Like, if you've ever liked Winnie the Pooh or Paddington or any adorable, heartwarming movie ever, you have to see it. I almost cried several times. Yeah, so good. Saw that. Went dancing. My boyfriend took me out to do all these really fun things, and he doesn't love to go dancing, but I do. So he was a great sport, and we had a good time dancing away. And what else did we do? Oh, and went out to a really good dinner, and then he also got me a cake from a local bakery. It was an all-vegan cake, and it was so good. It's my favorite, which was chocolate with white icing, and really, really good. Yeah, so that was good. And then also our 1-year anniversary is like right around the time of my birthday. So we celebrated that too. So guess what, fam? We're going to Iceland. He bought us tickets to Iceland, which I'm so thrilled about because I've been trying to get over to Iceland for a really long time. Ever since it became like a popular place that people started going to years ago, and I saw these incredible photos where it looked like a whole other world. So I'm really excited. We are going next month for 6 days, and we will be going, like, flying into Reykjavik and then driving south around the island, just on the south side, because we wanted to make sure we had enough time everywhere. And so we're staying in a different place every night for the most part, and seeing all these different spots, like different national parks and beaches and cliffs. There's like a black sand lava beach or something, and there's all these cliffs, and he's basically planning it, the whole thing. So I don't know specifically where we're going, but we're going to all the spots that, you know, that everyone says you should go to, that we can get to. We're not even touching really the north part of the country, just because of time-wise. Like, from what I read, like, you know, 6 days, well, it's 7 days, but that includes both of our travel days. So, so it's more like 6 days, and not really enough time. I think if you're going to do the whole island, you would need like at least 8 days. And even then it's going to be like a fast-paced thing, because a lot of it is like driving to remote areas and like hiking and just kind of enjoying nature. So, yeah, so you want plenty of time to enjoy everything. Yeah, so if anyone here has been to Iceland, please let me know your suggestions of, you know, certain places we should be sure that we're gonna go see, or if you know of any like good vegan food spots or tips or suggestions. From what I've heard, Iceland is not super vegan friendly. So I mean, I think our plan anyway is, because we're just gonna be like exploring, like we're only gonna be in cities or little, like we're only gonna be in Reykjavik for like a day, and one night. We're gonna go to the Blue Lagoon, which is that like geothermal hot spring thing that everyone always posts those really cool pictures of. And I heard that yes, it's touristy, and yes, it's overpriced, but yes, it's totally worth it, and you need to go. So I knew that I'd be mad if we didn't go, because I've seen so many cool pictures there. And but yeah, so for food, we're not really going to be in big cities or anything. So I think we're just going to try to like buy groceries and like, you know, kind of eat on the road. And we have an Airbnb. Most of the time we have one hotel one night, but all the other places we have Airbnbs. So we have kitchens, and we can hopefully just like cook some really simple, basic kind of stuff. So it's not going to be a foodie trip, which I'm such a foodie. So it's going to be a little different, change of pace for my normal things. But I love, like I said, I've always wanted to go to Iceland, and James knew that, which is why he when he saw a really good deal for us, he just did it. So I'm really excited. Let me know if you've got suggestions or any tips or anything. But yeah, I'm going in just a few weeks, which is great. And then also this upcoming this weekend, so when the shows airs on Friday, I will be in Oklahoma, because my best friend, and we've been best friends since high school, she is getting married. So I'll be out in Oklahoma. there. And, I actually went out there recently when I drove cross country back in March. And we stayed with her for one night, her and her fiance at the time, now about to be her husband. And it was wonderful. They're amazing, amazing, beautiful people. And there are actually a ton of really cool vegan spots in Oklahoma City. I think there were like at least 3 all vegan restaurants. And I don't know much about Oklahoma City because we just went like into the city just to go straight to these vegan places. But they were really cool and artsy, and the city seems pretty small. So the fact that there were all vegan places there is incredible. Like, that's better than a lot of other places in the country. So yeah, so I'm super excited. So definitely I will post pictures on my Instagram of some cool vegan food. I think her and I are going to go check out some places because luckily I'll be there for a few days. So I'll get to visit with her and not like your stereotypical wedding, which I've actually never been to a wedding as an adult, but from what I hear from everyone and see in movies, you really just like fly in for this huge, big, stressful wedding and you barely get any time with the bride or groom visiting wise because it's so crazy. So it's really cool that this is going to be a much smaller, casual thing, and I actually get to spend some time with all of them. So, and her whole family is incredible and we're all really close. So I'm so happy to be with them. Yeah, so if you're in Oklahoma, hit me up, tell me where I should go. Yeah, so that's what's been going on, been working. Yeah, I think that's about it. So today's episode is another really exciting interview that I did with another one of my former colleagues from PETA, and she now works for America's Funniest Home Videos, and we wish her all the best of luck there. She just started there a few weeks ago. She's a digital marketing and graphic design professional. Lily specializes in social media marketing and online branding. She has used both of those skills to create Vegan at Disneyland, an Instagram page and blog site that aims to make the vegan lifestyle easy for all people, regardless of where they're from and what resources they have access to. So I thought that this was so cool because I definitely look up to her and admire her in many, many ways, and have gotten to know her a little bit personally from working together when we both worked in the LA office at PETA. And her page, Vegan at Disneyland, is aesthetically gorgeous and so cool and so exciting. And I thought it was also really relevant because who doesn't love Disneyland or Disney World? And she has so many great tips for being vegan there that really, I think, apply. Like, she could tell you all over the park, exactly where to go to for vegan stuff. And beyond that, I think she's got a lot of tips that you could apply to other theme parks like Disney World or Universal or things like that. And so we talk about that in the interview. And also, if, I think everyone's really interested in building a brand and having a nice looking Instagram page, it kind of seems to be, what is what everybody in our society is into and doing now. So she talks a lot about how to keep your page aesthetically pleasing, and just a couple little tips like color coordination and stuff like that. So we talk about how to keep it real but also keep it tasteful and sort of design oriented and artistic, and how to bridge that gap, because it's a social media platform, but it's also like a form of art and design. So how do we do both? So really, really cool interview coming up. So please stay tuned for that. So before we dive in to our interview, I kind of already went through the podcast updates, but again, please consider becoming a patron. I would love to connect with everyone more. And that way we can kind of talk one-on-one if you want as a patron, and you can play a role in deciding some future episodes if you'd like, and get show notes from me. And otherwise, also, please join the Facebook group. engage in any way you'd like. Introduce yourself. You could post some recipes for everybody, any questions, things like that. And also, if you have not, please rate and review me on iTunes, because that would be very nice. I have 22 ratings and reviews so far, and it's really fun to read all of them, and see what everyone's thinking and how they're liking things, and just, really good to hear from everybody. So if you haven't done that so far, please go ahead and make me a review and a rating. Would be cool. So now moving on to our news segment. Guess what? Einstein Bagels will be serving vegan cream cheese at select locations. We do not yet know what these locations are. But not only is it vegan cream cheese, you guys, it's Kite Hill. Kite Hill, which is delicious, and normally you can really only find it at like Whole Foods, and it's made from almonds. It's like the most artisanal cream cheese ever. So good. So yeah, they're going to be trying it out at select locations. There was a PETA petition a while back asking them to have vegan cream cheese, so it looks like our wishes have been granted, and they were even interviewed in the article, and they said something like the time is ripe for vegan cream cheese, or something like that. Yeah, so that is super cool. We'll have to see. Call your local place, and I'm wondering where they're going to roll this out first. I know I had some folks in LA call some places over the weekend, and none of the locations knew about it. So either it's not going to be served at that location, or it's not yet on the menu. But let's see. Yeah, okay. They definitely are on the menu now. So one of the Einstein Bagel locations we know that has the vegan cream cheese is in St. Louis, Missouri, which is mind-blowing and super cool because I go there sometimes because I have family there. Wow. Excellent. I'm going to have to tell everyone I know there to go check it out. Anyway, moving on. So also, it's almost fall, which I'm so excited about. I almost wish I had a podcast just to talk about the seasons and the changing of the seasons, because it's really exciting. It's an exciting time, I think. And I also, maybe because I'm not like used to changing seasons, because I mostly grew up in Hawaii and Southern California and then lived in LA for the last few years. So yeah, that's exciting. I've got candles, I've got mugs and cozy blankets. I'm so ready for fall. But also for fall, I used to love the pumpkin spice latte at Starbucks. It is not vegan, friends. I know on this podcast, earlier episodes, I talked about how so much stuff at Starbucks is vegan and can be made vegan. The pumpkin spice latte is not vegan. Something weird about the syrup itself. So even if you get like soy milk or almond milk with it, it's still not vegan. So anyway, there are ways though, like hacks, that you can still go to Starbucks and make it vegan. But I'm bringing this up because, it's on my mind because fall is about to happen. But apparently all throughout Europe, all the Starbucks locations in Europe have vegan pumpkin spice syrup to have pumpkin spice lattes that are vegan. So they're rolling out with those, and the article was just in Veg News a couple weeks ago. So I was like, I saw it and I got so excited. I was like, it came out right before my birthday, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the best birthday present ever. But it was like a trick. It was only in Europe. So I'm like hoping that they're going to do it in the US, because why wouldn't they? it just seems weird, like, for an international chain, like, why would you have different options in different places? It sounds like it would be more complicated, and no one is gonna notice the difference. Like, no one's gonna miss the gross, dry dairy powder that, or whatever that crap is, that's in the pumpkin syrup. No one's gonna miss that. So, with the vegan version of the syrup. So anyway, I wanted to share, though, how you can possibly make it vegan yourself, aka creating a different kind of thing. So here's what vegan customers can do. Here's a hack that I found on Bustle. So request the pumpkin spice topping mix, which is 100% dairy-free, to be added to a plain or vanilla latte that's made with soy milk, almond milk, or coconut milk. And the pumpkin spice topping is made of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves. And so they say it's similar to the pumpkin spice latte. It's not exactly like it, but you'll still taste warm, cozy fall, and that's all that really matters. And just FYI, it debuts August 28th, the pumpkin spice latte. That's not vegan. There are petitions online to try to get a vegan option for the pumpkin spice latte, so everybody should sign that because that's what's really important in life. All right. So that's interesting. And also, Starbucks, speaking in Starbucks news, they have a new drink that has vegan protein in it. And it has apparently been doing really well. It's the protein blended cold brew. And it looks like a frappuccino to me. So it just says it's made with slow steeped Starbucks cold brew, alternative milk, and plant-based proteins for a delicious non-dairy beverage that's a good source of protein and keeps you going throughout the day. A grande beverage is 270 calories or less and is $5.95. And says it's inspired by our customers' love for Starbucks cold brew and a growing interest in plant-based proteins. Snaps for that. That's pretty awesome. It looks like you can get them in almond and cacao flavors, so I guess you can get like a chocolate one. That sounds amazing. At, I guess at all Starbucks across the United States, as long as it lasts. So, yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, here's the cacao. So it's plant-based protein, cacao powder, banana date fruit blend, and ice with the cacao, or with the cold brew and the coconut milk. And that has 10 grams of protein. And then there's the almond protein. So that has almond butter, plant-based protein, almond milk, banana date fruit blend, and ice. And that has 12 grams of plant-based protein. And I'm assuming that's a tall, 12 grams for a small size. And it looks like you can also double the amount of protein if you want to get, add an extra packet of plant-based protein. And you could even get extra coffee in it if you wanted, which, I don't know, people need all that caffeine, but cool that there are options. So yeah, okay, cool. That's kind of my news for now. I mean, obviously there's always all kinds of news. So those are just some exciting, try to keep it posy and fun and accessible and things that, you could go try out immediately. So find out if your local Einstein Brothers has vegan cream cheese. You can just call them, just look it up and call the locations. And try out this protein thing. That sounds cool instead of a regular Frappuccino. Because it looks like it's cold and blended. So it's basically like a Frappuccino. So instead of that, I guess it's more of like a meal in a cup. If you get it with this plant-based protein. And sign that pumpkin spice latte petition. So let me know if anyone tries, by the way, the pumpkin spice toppings, which I guess will be available the day that the pumpkin spice latte comes out, which is August 28th. So coming up here. Wonderful, wonderful. So now we're going to move on to our main event, our interview with Lillian Tran. And like I said, she's a marketing goddess. Similar theme as our wonderful guest from our previous episode, Emmy Noel. And yeah, I think it's cool to interview badass people in my life and people that I look up to. So I'll probably continue on with that theme, not as every episode, obviously, but had the opportunity to interview both of them recently. So why not? Wanted to do it. Hey, Lily, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to have you on the show. You were one of the first people I thought about interviewing when I started the podcast because I really admire your your side hustle, your vegan at Disneyland account. It's really amazing. So for anyone listening who hasn't been on that account yet, definitely check it out. I love how you show how easy it is to be vegan at a place, what is it called? The most magical place on earth?
The happiest place on earth. Yeah.
Happiest place on earth. Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the account?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, thank you. I'm honored to be on the show. And I've been loving your podcast. I like seeing how when we used to work at PETA together, what a great public speaker you are. So it only seems fitting that you have one. But yeah, I started the account besides the fact that I'm just like a crazy obsessed Disney fan, because besides the fact that I'm there all the time anyways, I see so many accounts on Instagram that are all about like being vegan at kind of more like obvious places. Like, like if you're in LA or if you're in New York, everybody knows it's easy to go to a million vegan restaurants in New York or LA. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. I think it's great to show what like all the great places that you can eat at, that you don't have to compromise good taste and everything. But I think something that helped me, especially as somebody who grew up in the Midwest where being vegan is not common, it's growing now, but not when I was vegan there, it wasn't, was just how to make it easy. And I like following people who show me how to be vegan where you are already, whether it's like in the middle of nowhere or if you're in a big city like LA. And so knowing that besides the fact that the vegan trend is growing, so of course more and more pass holders and more Disney guests are going to be vegan, a lot of parents bring their children there who may have allergies, or a lot of people I have, have told me that when they go there, they don't know what to eat. And I'm like, oh, like there's all these things that you don't know that you can be eating that if you just ask that aren't out to the public. So really, like for me, somebody like me, like I want to know, how do you be vegan like when you're at the airport, or if you're on a road trip and all you have is 7-Eleven. So that's kind of where that came from.
Totally. Yeah. I love that so much. I totally agree. And that's why I started this podcast too, because, I think I had mentioned like back on episode 1, how I had relocated from LA, where you and I worked at PETA together, over to the East Coast. And there are tons of vegan options on the East Coast. And I live, outside of Richmond, but I live in the suburbs, and there's not a whole lot of obvious vegan options near me, or not a whole lot of vegans in this area in general. So I sort of had like, an awakening of like, oh yeah, because I'm not from LA. I grew up kind of all over the place in a lot of different states and places. So, but I think LA, kind of changed me a little bit. And then like living outside of that, I'm like, oh yeah, like most people aren't vegan, and most people like don't know this stuff. And so let's make it accessible. Because I agree, accounts like that are in Miami or LA or whatever, and people are just like on the beach all the time doing yoga on a beach, like fresh fruit all the time. I love that too. Like that's inspiring. But I think often, Instagram can be good and bad. And I think the bad of Instagram, as we all know, like you're like scrolling through and you just see like people's glamorous life, and they might live somewhere glamorous, or they travel glamorous places, and you can kind of be like, oh, like that's so not relatable. Like, and then it can make you feel bad about yourself. So I think it's really cool, like with your account, and anyone else who does it and things like that, and just kind of like keep it real and super practical and accessible for your general population.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. So tell us, besides that urge to help people and meet people where they're at, basically. How did you get started on the Vegan at Disneyland account? You mentioned that you're at Disneyland all the time. So tell us a little bit of that, like a little background of your love of Disney.
Well, I think my love of Disney came from just probably the influence of my dad. Like I grew up kind of like, I always joke that I grew up in like a 50s time warp because of him. So I grew up around like watching things like Davy Crockett and the Mickey Mouse Club and all the old school Disney movies that I feel like kids these days have no idea about, like the Shaggy Dog and all of those movies, because they were older, like because they were like set in the 50s and 60s. So many of those stars were like at Disneyland, or like Mickey Mouse Club was, the whole point of that show was to do this thing called Synergy, which was to promote Disneyland the park. So I
Oh,
associated
okay.
like my love for Disney specifically with Disneyland, and not even Disney World, even though I would love to go there, obviously. But yeah, like it sounds corny, but I can't imagine my life without Disney. I grew up with
Aw.
it. I'm also, a graphic artist, so I grew up loving animation and art and design. So
Mm.
that was a big part of my life as well. And growing up, I was in the military, so we lived overseas, and we also lived in states, but it was not in California. Like I mostly lived in Colorado, and it just wasn't really within our budget to go to Disneyland.
Mhm.
But it was something that was the number one place I always had to go to. Like I even remember when I was 13 and I told my parents, I was like, no, someday I'm going to move to LA because that's where it's close to Disneyland, it's close to the beach, and I like warm weather. I don't like seasonal depression. I said this at 13.
True.
And I was like, oh, so it's by Hollywood, and that just seems fun. And I was like, and to me, Hollywood was like this untouchable universe. So
Mm.
yeah, so I moved out here, and one of the first things I did, no, I mean, one of the first things I did was go to Disneyland. And I still remember the moment of driving up to the parking lot and going up to the gate and crying my eyes out. And
Oh.
yeah, and I knew that when I got older, I was like, okay, when I get a better paying job, the first thing I have to do is get a pass, because I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that you had to pay like in full for Disney every time.
Mhm.
So like I guess you could say that I'm the kind of person that, because I grew up like without a lot of money, I've always kind of felt a lot of guilt with spending money on things I love. But maybe about a year or two ago, I was just like, oh, I never spent anything for myself. I really want to do this. And my friends thought it was so funny that I was making such a big deal out of just such a small thing, which is to get a pass, which a lot of people in SoCal have. But I
Yeah.
did. And I remember like reading blogs, I before I went, I did a lot of research, like what can I eat when I go? Like should I
Mm.
pack my food? Because when I go, sometimes I'll only go for a couple hours, but a lot of times, people go to Disneyland and they anticipate spending the whole day or even the whole weekend there.
Mhm.
And I saw that a lot of blogs like recommended like just the same 4 or 5 meals. And then when I went there with one of my friends who used to work at Disneyland, who actually was a pass holder, she showed me like literally hundreds of things that you could have that people didn't know about.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, for example, a lot of people don't know that if you go to the Alien Pizza Planet in Tomorrowland, like you'll see all the pizzas out and none of them are vegan. But if you just ask the chef, which it's not on the menu, they have a vegan crust in the back with Daya cheese.
What? And it's not on the menu? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
a lot of vegan things aren't on the menu, like the Impossible Burger isn't on the menu. Like,
Oh, what?
um,
That's
it,
crazy.
I know, or like at Hungry Bear in Frontierland, they have, or it's Hungry Bear in Critter Country, they have a vegan burger. It's also not on the menu, and it's kind of a little bit frustrating. Like, I want Disneyland to realize that over time, it's not just for people with allergies. That being vegan is like it's a pretty popular thing now. So I hope that over
Totally.
time they will put it on the menu, because it is weird because some of the restaurants do have these allergy menus that are very obvious. So then when you go to other places and you don't see it, of course
Mm,
you're going to think that they have nothing. But
right.
in the end, so I went and I, tried everything and I learned about like all the different places, and I ended up writing a blog for PETA where it was like called like I think over 100 vegan things you can eat at Disney. So yeah, I just thought it would be fun to have an Instagram. Like, I did social media for PETA too for so long that I never really had a social media account for myself, like an Instagram account. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I really want to create one just for me, for my hobbies. And of course, Disney was the big thing. And I just thought, I was like, well, if this is going to help other people, maybe I can connect with other other Disney vegans. And yeah, and that's where it came from. So
Wow. Wow, that's so exciting. Okay, cool. I have so many questions. Um, okay, so you just said you want to connect with other Disney vegans. So is that
mhm.
like a thing? Have you found like a group of
Yeah,
vegans who go to Disney all the time?
there is a lot actually. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
that the nice thing about them is that, you know, a lot of people who follow me aren't vegan. They may just have allergies, and a lot of people are just following for fandom. But there are a lot of people who follow me who call themselves Disney vegans, and it's nice because the reason I like it is because it's kind of similar to what I was saying before about making vegan easy. Is that a
Mhm.
lot of these people want to make like their hobbies, for example, going to a place like Disneyland, which is obviously, you know, creating a lot of waste, like something more like a sustainable like hobby. Like, you know, we all talk about things like how do we create zero waste at a place like Disneyland? How do we consume less? Like how, you know, how do we help animals there? So it is
Mhm.
kind of nice connecting with them in that way. So
Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome. Cool. Um, Man, I like really want to go to Disney now. I haven't been since I was little. And oh, also, you mentioned that you grew up in a military family. Have we talked about this? Because I did too. Have,
Yeah, I think you meant your dad is in the Marines?
yeah, he just retired like a year ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
my
after
dad was
like
in the Air
30.
Force, so
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Wow. I can't remember if we've talked about that before or not, but
I don't know. Maybe I didn't talk about it. Maybe I feel like I think I saw that your dad retired. I think you might have posted that on Facebook or something.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it was like a big thing. Like it was when I was still living in LA and I like flew out here
okay.
to the East Coast for it and stuff. But that's really cool. Yeah, so probably like pretty similar um environments of our
Hmm.
childhood, like military bases and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then like living away from family, I feel like growing up like we lived in some really cool places. Like we lived in Hawaii for like 8 years and we lived in Southern California. So
Wow.
we got really lucky, but also anytime I was on like a school vacation, we had to go visit family, which was usually in the Midwest. And so I would like, we'd live in Hawaii and then I'd go spend my summers in like St. Louis, Missouri.
It's very opposite of
Yeah,
what
exactly.
most people want.
Yeah, but like the military lifestyle, you know, pulls people away from their families. So it's like we didn't live near any family. So every
Yeah.
time, you know, there was a big break, we would have to go visit family. So I also feel like we didn't vacation a lot. Like where we
Mhm.
lived was like a vacation, which was cool, especially in Hawaii. Like you can pop around to the other islands really easily, and you know that was amazing. But we went to Disney World when I was really little, and then we were stationed in Southern California for a few years, and we went to Disneyland a few times, I think there. Um, so
Where were you stationed?
um, Camp Pendleton.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, just south of LA there, but right before
Oh,
San Diego.
see, we were in Victorville, so
Oh, yeah, where is that? That sounds familiar.
it's like East LA,
Oh,
so
okay, okay.
but it's SoCal, so yeah.
Yeah.
The
Nice.
base has since closed down there, but
Um,
that's where I was born, was in the military or
oh,
the Air Force base there. So
yeah, yeah. And Colorado makes sense too, because there's lots of
mhm.
bases out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So, um, now let's see, I have a lot of questions. So Disney, so back to Disney. Sounds super fun. I I love a lot of Disney movies and stuff. And when I was living in LA, I went to Universal Studios a lot because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
Hmm. I
And
just went yesterday actually for the first
yeah,
time.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that. How that was your first time. What'd you think?
I loved it. You know, I don't know why I waited so long to go, because when I was like in middle school and high school and college, Harry Potter was my life. Like I was such a Potterhead. So I'm surprised it took me that long. I just never thought that, to be frank, I know it sounds kind of mean. I didn't expect it to be that nice.
Yeah,
But I was surprised. Yeah, I loved it. Harry Potter World, like, or not Harry Potter World, sorry, Wizarding World.
yeah.
As soon as I walked in, like, I was like actually crying. I was really excited.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. It was so well themed. I found that eating there was a little bit easier on City Walk as opposed to inside the park,
Yeah.
but I loved it. Yeah, it was great. The studio tour was awesome.
Right? The studio tour is so impressive. I didn't even do the studio tour the first time I went. I went on the second time. And I was like,
Oh yeah, I feel
I
like
was like,
that's
why
something you have to
not? Like,
do.
I was like, I'm only here for Wizarding World, but like, whatever, might as well try this. And I was like, whoa, this is impressive.
Yeah, yeah, we were able to go on pretty much all of the rides yesterday, so it was great. I think the Forbidden Journey was my favorite though, that and the studio tour. So
Oh, cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the Forbidden Journey. That's intense. So I am like such a baby. I don't even like roller coaster rides, and I just go for like the world, like, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
Like walk around Wizarding World, like, and like people watch everyone's like costumes and get some pumpkin juice and you know what I mean, stuff like that. Um, and the wand. Did you get a wand?
No, that I think I need to go back because I felt like that was the one thing that when I left, I felt like I kind of missed out on was I really wanted to have that experience. So next time I want to go. I was surprised though how good the pumpkin fizzy drinks were. Like it wasn't
Yeah,
what I expected. So and I really like the that asparagus plate from the Three Broomsticks.
it
It's
was
also
good.
yeah, I was really impressed. But yeah, otherwise though, like yeah, I loved it. I think that you should try the rides though if you ever go again, because I'm really terrified of heights and roller coasters too. And I
Yeah.
was able to handle everything, and I
Okay.
usually cannot handle most of that stuff.
Okay, that's good to know. I did do Forbidden Journey,
Okay.
but I also get like motion sickness.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I can see
so I
that.
got a little sick from that one, so I don't think I'd do that one again. But good to know for the other rides that aren't
Yeah.
like 4D or 3D or whatever.
No. If anything, I think some of the rides at Disneyland are more intense in terms of the drops, like much more. So, um, I don't think the rides at Universal are scary at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So Universal is a much smaller park than Disneyland,
Hmm.
right? Like
Yeah,
drastically.
yeah. It was significantly smaller because Disneyland has so many like they have like the big attraction rides, but they have so many smaller rides too. Yeah, it felt almost like half the size, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even less than that, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because
I guess it makes sense because Disney's like out in Anaheim, whereas Universal's like right in, you know,
in the
in
city,
LA, in the
yeah,
city. So I
and it's
guess
like
that
on a
kind of,
mountain kind of.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
totally. Yeah, I'd recommend the wand next time you go. They are expensive, but the wand process is kind of fun. And actually it's kind
Mhm.
of a weird thing, like, because you know, you can do like on Pottermore the wand, you know,
Mhm.
find out what your wand is quiz. But because Pottermore and like Universal are like two different entities that own it, it doesn't translate directly over. So like if you go into the wand store and you say like, "Oh, I'm this wood with this core or whatever," um, they don't have that exact one,
Oh,
which is
okay.
really frustrating. But they are like prepared on how to deal with it. So they tell you like what the best wands that are the most similar to that they carry
Mhm.
are. So I was able to get one that was similar, apparently, because then like she gave me like three options and she explained like, you know, the personalities that go with those wands. That's
Mm.
kind of related to the one that you came in with, telling them, you know, from Pottermore. And then you kind of pick out of that. So it was still a really like magical experience, and it's fun to like go
Mm.
around and do the little spells, you know, with the
Mhm.
wand. Yeah, it's expensive, but you know, if you're a big fan, it's kind of like, oh, you just got to do
Yeah.
it.
And also, like, if you get a pass, you might as well if you're gonna keep going back. And yeah.
Yeah, so true.
Mhm.
So, so we're talking about other parks here. Um, do you have some tips to apply these, you know, veganizing at Disneyland to other theme parks? Like, you know, we've talked a little bit about some options at Universal, but like maybe at Disney World or like any big event like that in general.
Um, I think my biggest tip is like just how like at Disneyland, how there's some places with allergy menus, but then you can go to the restaurant next door and then the allergy menu is totally secret. It's just never to be afraid to ask,
Mm-hmm.
like ask for what they have and just explain that whether it's vegan or you have an allergy. A lot of times, like even if they absolutely don't have something for you, like the fancier restaurants usually don't at Disneyland don't have anything anything pre-made, but they'll make a whole menu for you, like a whole
Oh,
thing. So
wow.
I think that's something I recommend if you're eating like at a restaurant. Just don't be afraid to talk to the chef because they want to, they want to please their customers, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. I like to always plan ahead. Like I always keep like an extra granola bar or something in my purse. You just never know.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting creative, like some of the things I've done there is like during when Pixar Fest had started, the big thing was to get like a float in Woody's boot. And they didn't have vegan ice cream there, but they did have it really close by at Haagen-Dazs, which is in Disney or downtown Disney. So instead of just like being like, oh, I can't participate in this trend, like I just got a scoop of chocolate vegan ice cream and then did a cherry cola float. So
Nice. Yeah.
I think being open to like different hacks or say like if something at Disneyland, like maybe one day was vegan, like the bun was, like there is a place called Award Wieners, which is like a hot dog place. And they have something called a mushroom Philly, which is vegetarian, but it can be veganized. But recently, the buns no longer are vegan, at least not right now. Hopefully, they will be again someday.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just like not eating it all together, we just get the mushroom Philly without the cheese on top of the strip fries. And it seems like such a boring dish, but it's honestly the best tasting thing there. So
Nice.
I think just being creative, and yeah, just always asking, being creative, and coming prepared whenever you can. I don't want to make it sound like coming prepared means that as a vegan you're doomed and you'll end up in places where you won't be able to eat anything at all. But I don't think that's the case anymore. But you never know, especially if you're coming with kids, who may not have as much patience or anything for their hunger. So
Totally.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
think just being creative and stuff. And
Yeah. Well, I can relate to a child. I think like all of a sudden I'm starving.
yeah.
So I always carry granola bars in my purse no matter where
Yeah.
I'm going. So yeah, I feel like that's a good rule that everyone should follow.
Mhm.
Especially like Disneyland where it's giant and you're like walking around all day. Like even if, you weren't eating exclusively vegan food, that's probably
Mhm.
something people do anyway. So I feel like that's not even that, like out of the norm here.
Yeah. And then I was planning to recently, like soon to write like a blog of like a list of just kind of outside hacks you can do, like bringing things in, like Silk
Mm,
will be coming out with little
creamer things.
creamers, like the little portable creamers, like bringing stuff like that, or like a little thing of earth balance butter, or like sometimes just like one of those pockets of like Justin's hazelnut butter, just little
Mm.
things like that. You never know. Maybe you're not necessarily planning to use it that day, but always having it in your purse because they're non-perishable anyways. That
Yeah.
they might come in handy. So
Oh
and
my
they have come in
gosh.
handy for
Yeah.
me in the future. So
I love that idea.
yeah.
That's so smart. I feel like once you write that blog, I'm gonna want to talk about it on the show. That's like such a
Yeah.
good idea.
Those things I like to do just when I'm traveling in general. Like I always just have like a part in my little suitcase, or at least in my carry-on or in my main purse, where I just have random stuff in there, just in case if I absolutely don't find anything. Like I have a bag of like a little plastic tub of like salsa or something like that that was like meant for eating on the go, but then I can just get a baked potato and put the salsa on top, and then I have like at least a decent
Oh,
meal.
yeah.
So yeah,
Mm.
I
That's
think
awesome.
things like
Yeah,
that.
really smart. That's really
Thank you.
cool. Yeah, I multiple times have tried to bring like when I have a flight and I know like it's early or something, so I didn't have time to get breakfast. So I know that I would love a bagel from Starbucks once I get through security. And I've
Hmm.
tried to bring like a small tub of vegan cream cheese with me or a tub of hummus, and it doesn't get through security because
Oh,
it's considered like a gel slash liquid,
yeah. I
and
think
it
they have
can't
to
be
be
over
really
3 ounces.
tiny.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, I don't like plan ahead to get a 3 ounce thing, so I literally bring like a tub, and then they confiscate it.
Mhm.
So I feel like I definitely need to plan ahead. Although I haven't done that in a while, obviously, because I learned my lesson. But Starbucks does have the avocado spread now.
Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the other reason I talk about like asking is because one example was like a lot of people will also ask me, tips about like how to eat vegan in other theme parks. And well, I'm not only, I'm only a pass holder at Disneyland, but I do my research to keep up to date on other things. And like one person recently messaged me and said, like, there's absolutely nothing to eat here at Knott's Berry Farm. And
Oh.
I kind of sent her a link of like the secret allergy menu at Knott's Berry Farm, and they have a lot of things actually. They have vegan hot dogs, they have
What?
a Beyond Burger, and so you never
The
know.
Beyond Burger, man.
You never know unless you ask. So
Wow.
yeah.
That is really good advice, like in
Mhm.
general. I've
Mhm.
definitely experienced that at like restaurants and stuff. Because they'll often, even if they don't even have vegan cheese or something, sometimes when
Mhm.
you just ask, they'll, like you said, the nicer restaurants at Disney, like I've had places that are like, oh, well, we'll create a whole like vegan like meal for you that we don't even
Mhm.
have on the menu, like with like roasted veggies and some pasta and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of my friends who stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, who's also vegan, like they didn't have anything on the immediate menu, but they made her a really tasty hash brown vegetable omelet. And it was
Oh,
like an
wow.
actual omelet, but it was obviously vegan, and she was very happy with her meal. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds really good.
Mhm.
Cool, cool. So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about your marketing prowess here, because the Vegan at Disneyland account is gorgeous. Like it
Oh,
is
thank you.
aesthetically so pleasing and just makes me like happy every time it pops up on my newsfeed. So tell us about where you learned some of your marketing skills. And not to mention, I'm not the only one who thinks it's so gorgeous, because you have over 30,000 followers.
Oh,
And I
thank
feel
you.
like the account is relatively new. So share with us maybe where you started getting into marketing and social media and things like that, to begin with, and then if you have any tips for people trying to make their Instagrams a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.
Sure. So I didn't go to school for marketing. I actually went to school for graphic design. So when
Mm.
I had finished, I had several jobs in the design field. And then I eventually landed a job at the LA Business Journal, which was like editorial graphic design for the newspaper. And, it was a good job, great company and everything. And, but because I was doing graphic design for like editorial stuff, I learned a lot about marketing through just by helping with the ads.
Mm-hmm.
And that was right before social media marketing really blew up. Like social media existed at the time, like everybody had a Twitter, Facebook, but that was before, like, I would say people were like, companies were really using it as their main way to sell things to people. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when I became really interested, because I started learning about what they were doing for social media. And I thought, like, I wasn't necessarily interested in business news, to be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I eventually sought out a job at PETA, because I wanted to do something that was a little bit more, I guess, closer to my values. I kind of had that burning urge in me at the time that I really wanted to do something, good for the world and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And not to discredit my job at the Business Journal, I do
Yeah.
think it's a good company, and I really love the people there. Um, but that's kind of how I got introduced to marketing, was just graphic design and marketing go very hand in hand. And
Mm.
then, I started working at PETA, and I was hired as a social media strategist, and eventually just worked my way up to being like an assistant manager for youth marketing. But I feel like there I learned a lot of my marketing experience. I had to learn a lot about Facebook management, about YouTube, Instagram. Facebook and Instagram were my biggest things there. But then over time, like, I had to learn about, like, Twitter and, marketing from an SEO standpoint, because I helped to, write features for the website as well. And for me, like, as a graphic designer, even when I was a little kid, even before I knew a graphic design was a thing, when I was just drawing or whatever, it was just always in my personality. Like, I would walk into a room and I would be like, okay, these walls need to be a different color. These do not match. Those pillows don't work, like, I remember my parents just being so fascinated by, like, everything down to what I would put in a picture frame, was like everything had to be aesthetically pleasing. So I
Wow.
think that that's just kind of my personality. But I guess, like, I feel like I've always been a big believer, especially since influencer marketing has become a thing, is that branding is so key. Like, how you, I feel like branding can make or break your look online.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't want to make it sound like everything about the way you look, online is the end all be all. But if that is a career that you're looking for, I think having, yeah, like a cohesive design and everything matters. So, I feel like a lot of people say this. as they're developing their brands. But really my inspiration for the branding of Vegan at Disneyland just came from what I wanted to see. Like I created an account that I would want to follow. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very feminine, girly person. And I don't know if that's a PC term to say, but just saying that. But like, but you know, like obviously I think it's very apparent in my account. It's very like castles and sparkles and rainbows and you know, Disney, I feel like my favorite color is blue, so that's why my logo it goes from blue to lavender. And I feel like blue is kind of a Disney color. You know, the
Mhm.
opening of every movie when you see the castle is blue. So
Totally.
I wanted people to feel like it is somehow associated with Disney, which is why it was so important for me to have the castle in my logo to give
Hmm.
them that kind of magical Disney feel. But it was also that's just the stuff that I like. Like it's
Hmm.
I created something that I wanted to see. Like, and as I grow my account over time, I don't want it to only be food stuff. Like I really want to talk more about like Disney like style, like but a vegan twist on it. Like how do you find vegan Disney bags? Because like a big thing for park holders is to carry around cute small backpacks because they're
Mm.
there all the time, and that's much better than carrying a large backpack. And so, but I want to
Mm.
know like how do you get like a vegan version of that, you know,
Right.
or like vegan fashion that's Disney or maybe even Harry Potter related.
Mhm.
I want to know about like like Disney nail art or makeup and everything like that. How do we do that, but do it cruelty free? So for me, I wanted to see, like, I was looking to follow somebody or a brand that kind of created that overall Disney lifestyle, but with a kind of like a more of an ethical twist to it. And so
Mm.
that's just what I created. So,
Yeah.
and I do feel like, you know, regardless of whether it has to do with veganism or Disney or anything, like if somebody is trying to get into that kind of market, like creating a brand of their own, I do think it's smart to think about like, what do you want to see? Like, what is an account that you would want to follow? Because I think then a lot of people are going to want to follow it. You know, a lot of
Mhm.
people feel the same way because we're not so different from each other. Does that make sense? So I think
Mhm.
that to me is kind of like my say biggest marketing secret is
Yeah.
just think about like what is it that you want to see, because chances are there's probably a lot of other people out there that are looking for it too. So you know,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice. Like I've definitely heard business advice before that's like, your audience of the product you're creating or the information you're giving out, like you should be a part of your audience. Like you
Hmm.
shouldn't like be trying to appeal to people that you don't understand. Like, you
Yeah.
should, like appeal to someone with the same interests as you because, you're representing them and like you're kind of giving them what they want and not trying to like make assumptions about other people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, I feel like having been obsessed with Disney forever and being really into art and also, you know, being vegan for what, like I think 9 years, I feel like I'm pretty experienced in those areas. So, you know,
Yeah.
it felt like something that I was very much a part of, like you said. So
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I feel like you do a really good job with your account, like kind of like we said in the beginning about how the whole point of your account is to be like practical, like it's very like practical tips, like go to this
hmm.
restaurant, ask for this, they have this,
Hmm.
which is really awesome and tangible, like for people wanting to be vegan and to make an ethical choice and to even do it for health reasons. It's great to talk about it, but obviously you're helping pave the way for people to actually do that. And while they're on vacation, because a lot of people are probably on vacation if they're at Disney, which is usually a time that you kind of like go off the rails of,
Yeah.
whatever mindful routine you've been trying to create in your daily life. So if that's like eating vegan, then, you can help with that. But I think like you do a really great job of having an account that's both aesthetically pleasing but also very practical, because I kind of like I go back and forth on that all the time with my account, and it's like I'm like super small, amateur hour with all of that, definitely no background in graphic design or social media marketing, but as I'm like learning a bit with my account, and I'm like, I want it to be realistic and I don't want it to be like overly glammed up because I want it to be like
Yeah.
accessible and relatable. But then like we are humans, and we are very visual, and we like beautiful pictures, and we like beautiful
Mhm.
things, you know? So I'm like, okay, where do I draw that line between making a picture look really like aesthetically pleasing, but also like realistic? And I don't want to make anyone feel bad about themselves by like making my life look more beautiful than it is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any like suggestions there, or because I feel like you do a good job of that, of finding that line, that middle line there. Any thoughts or tips on that?
Um, I feel like I'm still learning because, honestly, like there was a point where I wouldn't even post like a photo if like if it was me holding something, I wouldn't post another photo next to it of me holding something. It had to be me holding something, then a scenery, then a person. Like I was so obsessed with the
Mm.
grid of it, even
Mhm.
beyond just like the color theme. So I feel like I've gotten caught up in that myself. I think it's really hard. We live in this age of social media where
Mhm.
I do think we are a little too focused on how we look online,
Mhm.
and honestly, just even going to Wizarding World yesterday was kind of nice because I was like, I don't have to report anything. I can just enjoy myself. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have to remember, like, this is at the end of the day, like, while I'm glad it's, helpful and while I'm glad it's successful, like, I've
Mhm.
been able to create like a pin business out of it,
Yeah.
or a full on merch line eventually. At the end of the day, I try to remember it is for fun, and this is like my hobby too. So but yeah, I think just a simple way to do it without being overboard is it seems simple, but like a filter or choosing one color. Like for
Mhm.
example, I mentioned like my color scheme is blue and
Mhm.
purple, so I try to like incorporate that in my photos so that way they are kind of cohesive without like everything has to be perfect, is super perfect, because I do think it's good to show that we're normal, real people. And
Right.
also, I like if oh, sorry, my boyfriend actually
Okay.
played a video today. Um, if if the whole grid and everything is really important to people, and I get it, like
Mhm.
I get it, like this is how some people make their living, so I don't judge or anything. Another
Mhm.
way to kind of really connect with your followers is through stories. Like I
Mm.
try to make my stories as a way where I really like am real with people. Like I post videos of myself all the time without my makeup on, and like I don't edit any of that stuff other than adding like location tags.
Yeah.
Even in my captions, I'm very honest. Like I write them as if like in my main feed, I write my captions as if it's me talking. Like it's not
Mhm.
always perfect proper English. It just sounds like the way you would have a
Yeah.
conversation with me in real life. But yeah, I think maybe choosing a color scheme or a filter is a good way to do it without being too obsessive, because you're still a real person, and I feel like people are more likely to follow somebody who account that feels like a real person, that doesn't feel too
Right.
auto generated. That's why influencer marketing, I think, is so successful, because people, like for me, I'm more likely to buy, say, a good mascara if my best friend or somebody I connected with online likes and recommends it, as opposed to a celebrity I don't know recommends it, because it
Totally.
feels more genuine to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful. I hope it is. I'm still learning though, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like I feel like it's a challenge for everybody. So
Yeah, no, that's so helpful. I feel like, yeah, sticking to a color scheme, and like you said, like the same kind of filter, and even the grid thing, I feel like that's totally doable. You know, it just kind of takes some planning, but
hmm
that's also good because then you can be super, like you said, super like spontaneous,
hmm
and like in real time on your story, whereas like your feed can be what is a little bit more curated, that you've thought a
yeah,
little bit more about before posting, which is good. Like
yeah.
I think people would respect that you've spent the time, to polish it,
hmm Yeah, and that's what I think of it as. Some days I just frankly don't feel like editing photos to post on my main feed, so I'll just post something in my stories, and that'll be the way that I connect with people. But yeah, for your main feed, like there are lots of apps that you can use to control like the grid, so you can see like, oh, well, I would like this photo here instead of here, and you can kind of preview it. There are apps to make your whole feed look more cool as opposed to warm if you need if you need help with like the color scheme and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things out there, and they're all free, so you can
Mm,
take advantage of that. But I think it's good
cool.
to just remember that if there's a day or two where you don't want to post, or even like a few days, like the world will go on and you can always start again in a few days. It's not like everybody's going to unfollow you. Yeah, because you're a real person. I mean, I'm a real person too, so.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
absolutely.
post anything about Wizarding World yet because I really wanted to enjoy myself yesterday, and I'll
Yeah.
probably post about it tomorrow because I ate a vegan meal there. So,
That's awesome.
mhm.
So yeah, great. Thanks. Good advice. Two more things that I wanted to ask you, but we are almost running out of time. So one, you mentioned your pins, your enamel pins, and a
Mhm.
future merch line. So do you want to tell us about that a little bit? Because your pins are so cute, and I still need to get some, and I'm excited for future merch that you're going to add.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I, again, kind of going with the idea that I wanted to create an account that I wanted to follow. Like, I wanted to create like a Disney merch line. So in the future, my goal is to not just have pins, but also to have shirts. And hopefully, I really want to make like handbags and backpacks and some
So
hats
cool.
and just like full on like a vegan version of what you would see by a Disney style line. So a lot of times, if you can look up Disney style, but you'll see how a lot of times they make stuff not just for everyday Disney fans, but they'll make stuff specifically for people who have passes, meaning people who are at the parks all the time. Because when you're there and you are a pass holder, you'll start to see that it does feel like this big club. Like it feels like everybody likes to dress kind of like have the same kind of style of hat or the same type of lanyard or the same kind of like, we all follow each other on Instagram. It feels like one big giant community slash club. And
Wow.
so there are a lot of brands who make purses specifically for pass holders or like a Disney park goer, or make a wallet for that or a shirt for that. And so I thought it'd be fun to do that, but a vegan version. Like in the future, I
Hmm.
would love to make leather free, like purses and handbags.
Totally.
But in the meantime, I wanted to start up with pins because I collect Disney pins and I love the existing Disney pins and I'm going to start collecting other pins in general. But I thought it would be cute to make something where like the vegan Disney pass holders felt like they have like a sense of pride behind it, like something special just for them. So I created a one of the pins is called the Vegan Park Snacks, which just has a Dole Whip, the mini ice bar, which is like the famous vegan popsicle from Tokyo Disneyland, and then the
Mhm.
giant pickle, which everyone thinks is hilarious, but it's like famous that Disneyland pickles are famous. They taste like fair pickles, and then it has like the little castle in the background. And I just thought it would be nice. Funny that you talked about growing up in the military. When I was growing up in the military myself, like I would be in my dad's office and I don't know if it's the same thing in the Marines, but in my dad's office, like I would see how like he would have a lot of things on display, like whether it was like medals or collectible coins or
Mhm.
like little pins that like the Air Force pins. And so that's actually was like one of my inspirations behind this thing was that I wanted it to be like a collectible coin, the kind of things that I would take from my dad's office and then I would have to give back
Aw.
to him.
That's
And
so
same
cute.
thing with like the airplane pins. Like the little
Yeah.
pilot wings and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the first one is the vegan park snacks pin, and then the other one was the vegan princess.
Mhm.
It's in the shape of Aurora, Princess Aurora's crown, and it goes from pink to blue. It's called, like, because her dress is make it pink, make it blue,
Yeah.
and just again, like I think it's nice for them to have something they can feel special about, that they can kind of show it off, and they can also show that there is a vegan community within the nerdy fandom world, like Disney. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and in the future, I'm creating another pin right now. I'm creating a shirt right now, and yeah, there'll be other things. And I'm hoping the goal is to do at least launch a product every month, like 1 to 2 products a
Mm.
month. But it costs money, and I'm a one-woman business, so we'll see
Totally.
how it goes. But yeah, that's where that came from.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. That's so exciting. I'm really excited to see that line grow. So really cool.
Thank
Um,
you.
so also, if you'd like to share with our listeners, because a lot of our listeners are vegan and a lot of them are not vegan,
Hmm.
and they're like maybe interested in starting to make that transition or they're working on it. So maybe share with us your vegan story, like what made you go vegan and, were you vegetarian for a while or like how that transition was for you?
It's kind of a long process for me. So when I was a kid, a funny story is that when I was a kid, like it would be like my family plus 2 or 3 other families. They would all take turns babysitting us. All of our moms were best friends. And I remember, like, I actually didn't really like meat that much. And it was funny. I remember one of my mom's friend's husband kind of warned me one day. He was like, Lily, if you keep this up, you might turn into one of those vegetarians someday. As if like he wasn't even trying to be mean. He was like truly concerned. Like it was like so I was more of like a fish person, and I liked fried chicken, but otherwise like I could have easily gone forever without a burger or a steak and I would have been fine.
Uh-huh.
And I was weird in a way. Weird. It's sad that we call healthy people weird, but I actually
Sure.
really liked healthy food. Like I was not super into sugar or junk food or anything like that. I would eat it and eat it happily, but my choice was always the healthier option. I was kind of known as that weird kid who likes healthy food. Um, so I was always open to the idea of being vegetarian. I didn't know what vegan was. But I never really thought about it from an animal perspective. And then I think when I was a freshman in college, I remember my professor had shown us all Meet Your Meat, and I knew what PETA was by then just because somebody had handed me a PETA leaflet when I was in high school, and it was just kind of like, it was like a KFC leaflet, and it was kind of like one of those things that it was like, oh, that sucks. Okay, I won't do that. Okay, wait, I forgot. I'm gonna eat chicken. Like it's just,
Yeah.
And when I saw Meet Your Meat, I felt bad, and I think I went vegetarian for a month, but it was just kind of like one of those things, like I don't feel like doing it anymore.
Yeah.
So like I did know, like I knew what had, what went through to make the food and everything like that, but
Mhm.
I think it's just one of those things where it was like, well, everybody does it. It's
Right.
okay. It's just the way it is. And so, and at that time, even being vegetarian alone was very radical. Like I didn't know anybody who was vegan.
Mhm.
I thought vegans were crazy. So, and then I think maybe it was like, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 years later is when I started learning about like the health benefits of being vegan, and it just really made sense to me from a health standpoint. I like learned a lot about like, how cancer in humans tends to thrive in like acidic body, and
Uh-huh.
vegetables all contain alkaline, and the way our teeth are made, and the way our digestive system is. So
Yeah.
to me, it made sense, and I knew that I was eventually going to do it. I just didn't know when because it just seemed frankly hard.
Mhm.
Because that was before even Deo was a thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And but then I remember going to a conference later that year, and I had met a girl there, and it was a conference in Florida. I lived in Colorado, so it was away, and they had made all of our meals for us. And I had met a vegan for the very first time, and I remember looking at her, and she had been vegan for 10 years, and I was like, wow, I was like, if I like touch her skin, is it going to be cold? Is she like inside? Is she normal? And I was surprised by how like nice she was. Like I always expected vegans to be these crazy mean people who push their beliefs on you, and like if you're not perfect, they'll chop your head off. But
Yeah.
she was totally nice, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I was like, and I looked at her meal, and I was like, well, her meal doesn't look any worse than mine. So I was like, maybe I can tell them I'm vegan, and if I can eat the food here for a few days and survive, maybe I can just do it. And I did.
Wow.
And she told me like very in the nicest way possible. She told me it would clear up my skin, and that's really all I cared about. Was like I just need clear skin. I'm tired of acne. So I tried it, and yeah, and the food was delicious. And I went home, and from there I was vegan. And I actually went raw for the first week. That was a little difficult for me. I'm not
Yeah.
saying raw is bad, but just I'm not there yet. But
Yeah. Me neither.
yeah, but obviously because I eat all that food at Disneyland, definitely not raw. But yeah, I went vegan, and for a while it was really truly for more like health reasons, but over time I really saw how like it was kind of like it helps the environment. It's good, obviously good for the animals. So to me, it's not always been a thing about being perfect, but it's always been kind of like a no-brainer. Like maybe I'm not perfect about it 1000% of the time,
Mhm.
even though I try really hard, but I always feel like, okay, it just seems like the more practical choice because it helps so many things. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that was 9 years ago. So,
Wow. Well,
yeah.
congratulations. Nine
Oh,
years
thank you.
vegan. That's awesome. Now you're almost 10 years like that woman you met at the conference.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you keep
crazy to
in
think
touch
about.
with her or like do you know her?
Yeah, actually, we do keep in touch. And funny enough, she was visiting California last week, and she called me, and we actually just had dinner together at
Oh,
Crossroads last week. So,
oh,
yeah, so
Crossroads.
yeah, so
Yum.
that was nice. Yeah, and it turned out to actually not be hard at all. Um, I don't think that there was ever really a time where I felt like I had to really compromise my diet or anything like that. And just for people who are wondering, my skin did clear up. So I don't want to make any promises, but it could help if that is an issue. So
Totally. Yeah, I hear that a lot from folks actually. Yeah,
yeah.
I think my boyfriend's skin cleared up a little bit after he
Mhm.
went vegan too. I think sugar might play a role
Sugar
for
was a
some
big thing for
folks
me
too,
too.
right? Sugar, yeah. Yeah.
Even now, if I eat sugar, I'll get a pimple or two. But it's just nothing like when I was in college though, and I would get like 15 to 16 pimples a day. Like
Mm.
it's it helped it helped my eczema a lot. Like all of my
Oh.
rashes that I would get, like I used to scratch myself so much that I would bleed when I was a kid
Oof.
and when I was a baby that my parents would take me to the hospital, and I haven't had any issues since then. So
Wow. Yeah, actually my mom has eczema, but I haven't heard her talk about it in years, like since she's been vegan.
mhm.
But I know it used to be really bad. She used to say the same thing, like growing up, she
Yeah.
would like scratch herself and it would, bleed.
Yeah,
And
I almost wonder if there was like an allergic reaction in food that like sparks something.
I would not
Yeah.
doubt it. There's
Mhm,
all kinds of crap in animal
mhm,
products that it's not meant for us. So yeah, I would not doubt it. And I forgot one last question, and I thought would
mhm.
be really cute. Um, if you had to pick, which I don't know if you could even, do you have a favorite Disney character or favorite Disney movie?
My favorite movie is definitely The Parent Trap. I love that movie.
So good.
And actually, I like both of them equally. But I don't know if you know Meredith from the remake. She's the villain. Do you remember that movie?
No.
Okay, well, she's a big animal rights activist. She's a
Okay.
vegan, and yeah, we follow each other on Instagram, and she's like, it's amazing that she uses like her fame all for just animals. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I
Wait,
love that movie.
wait, which movie?
The Parent Trap
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
with
With like
Lindsay
Lindsay
Lohan.
Lohan?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
I like that and the original. I like them equally, but those are my favorites. I think for characters, probably Woody and
yeah.
Marie the cat from the Aristocats because I'm a cat person. So
Oh my God, the Aristocats is so good.
yeah, it's so cute.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I'm a cat person too. Well, I have dogs too, but I feel like I'm always gonna fight for the underdog, which ironically is a cat. I
Yeah,
feel like cats have such a bad reputation.
I
So
know. I
yeah,
don't understand. I feel like the cats I've lived with have been like always so loving and wanting to cuddle and wanting to be wherever I am. I don't get it. Like, I guess people have had just been around some interesting cats or something because I
yeah,
haven't had that experience. I've had nothing
yeah.
but good experiences with cats. So,
I don't know. Yeah, I know. And my cats are very loving as well. Well, one of them's like a little scared all the time, but I got her when she was like half feral, so it's like not her fault. Like she still
same.
purrs when I pet her, if she lets me pet
Yeah.
her. But she's never mean to me. Like she might just run away, and I like feel bad that she, was traumatized as a kitten, I guess, And
Yeah.
then the other one greets me at the door and
Mm,
sleeps on top of me every night and purrs, and yeah, they're great. I love my dogs too, but like I said, I feel like I'm just always gonna fight for the underdog, which is a cat.
mhm. Yeah. No, I get it. I always fight for cats because I feel like everybody automatically loves dogs, but
Right.
oh well.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, Lily, this has been so lovely. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. I mean, we used to work together in the same office, and see each other pretty regularly.
Hmm.
But I've loved being able to like pick your brain about a lot of stuff, and I deeply admire everything that you've built at PETA as well as with the Vegan at Disneyland account. So it's been amazing having you on the podcast. I really really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I've been loving your podcast and I'll definitely be promoting it a lot. And I love what you do as well, just because, like I said, I'm always looking to follow people who make being vegan easy, not necessarily look glamorous.
Yeah.
But I think you're doing a great job.
Good
And
to
I can't wait
hear.
to see your channel and everything grow. So,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Like I mentioned, I've had zero background in any sort of marketing or anything. I love podcasts, and I like to talk, and I like to talk to people, and and all of that. So I was like, let me do this, but it's interesting. And I'm also realizing as well, I have social media accounts on multiple platforms for the podcast, but I'm most active on Instagram because I guess I personally like to be on Instagram more than other platforms,
Me
but I
too.
also feel like I get the most engagement from anyone on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sort of learning it's different crowds. Like a lot of people who listen to the podcast don't necessarily interact on any social media.
Mm-hmm.
But then a lot of my most active folks on my Instagram don't necessarily listen to the podcast, or they're not on Facebook, or the people who are active on Facebook aren't on Instagram. So it's
Mm-hmm.
so interesting learning all these niches. And I'm sure that's something that you've come across, a lot, being assistant manager of youth marketing.
Yeah. I've actually been curious about that. Like, what is the best way to promote podcasts? Because, like, for me, like, I love podcasts too. But the reason I love them is because I feel like they're a break from feeling like oversaturated with news, like in social media. Like, sometimes it's nice to just take a break and just listen to someone's calming voice and
Yeah.
hearing a conversation and hearing like news or updates or just anything from just a real person, as opposed to like feeling like bombarded with breaking news all the time. So yeah, I am interested because like I do feel like it is a much different pace than like Instagram or Facebook. And yeah, you're right. The people who follow me on Facebook tend to be very different than the people who follow me on Instagram. Twitter is a big challenge for me. I still,
Yeah.
it is hard to get people's attention on Twitter. So
Yeah. Twitter
yeah,
is like
I think
too exhausting for me to even like think about.
yeah, I think it's good to just I always think, especially if it's just something you're starting off with on your own, just to pick one social media. Like you can have the other accounts, but pick one and really, really put a lot of energy into that. And then the others will grow naturally, because I think it is too much to expect yourself to do everything. So right now,
Totally.
Instagram is mine, but soon I want to make Pinterest a big thing, just to make
Ooh.
that for my blog,
Yeah.
because I love Pinterest and I think it's very lifestyle, which is where very lifestyle-y, I should say, which
Mhm.
is very much what my Instagram theme was supposed to be, or hopefully is. So.
I feel like it comes across as that for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is nice. And yeah, I think a lot of the lifestyle stuff is kind of like a nice break from, like you said, like
Mm-hmm.
breaking news or anything that's like overly stressful. I mean, you need that too, but yeah, that's also something with podcasts that I really love is that you can really just, it's like more laid back, and you can
Mm-hmm.
really get to know your audience and they get to know you. And I feel like it's less pressure um than an Instagram post or than even like a YouTube video, because people are fine to just like put your podcast on and then go do other things and multitask, and it kind of have you on in the background and like tune in and out, I think, or while they're driving or something. Whereas like a YouTube video, I feel like or an Instagram post, you have such a short attention span that you have to cram a lot into, and then there's all kinds of visual components that you really have to play a role. But I think they all kind of come together like a beautiful mosaic of trying to reach people and connect to
Mm-hmm.
people. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, this has been
Well,
great. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much, Lily. Really appreciate it. And yeah, take care. Hopefully I get to see you soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Come
Yeah.
out and then let's go to Disney
Oh
together.
my gosh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. We'll go to Disney next time I'm in LA.
All right.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, Lily. All right. Hope you enjoyed that incredible interview with Lily. I know I learned a lot. So that's it for this week's episode. And so, reminder, we're on a bi weekly episode schedule now. If you want more of me, check out patreon.com. The link will be in the show notes, and the link is also in the bio of my Instagram at the Vegan Next Door. Thank you again for everyone who's listening. I really appreciate it. I have been looking at Podbean recently and seeing where all the listening stats are coming from, all over the country and all over the world, which is really cool. And I kind of wanted to share with you all some of that, just as a reminder of what an incredible community you all are, listening in. So for country wise, most of the downloads are, in the United States, but we have a lot of folks out in Canada, a pretty good chunk of people out in the UK. Hey, can you like holler at me? Because it's pretty cool that you all are listening. Chunk of folks in Australia, Belgium, Sweden, France, Saudi Arabia, and Italy. Those are the top 10 countries. So really cool. Hi guys. I'm like a little nervous now knowing that all these people are listening. It's really amazing. So thank you for your support. And then I want to see in the US. I thought it was really interesting. So in the US, most of my listeners are out in Cali. Hey. Which makes sense because I just moved from there and I know a lot of people out there. But also, second place, most of the downloads are Maryland. Cool. I guess I know a lot of people in Maryland. But if I don't know you and you're listening, give me a shout out. Reach out to me. I love to know who's listening. Virginia, third place. Let's see, Lawton, Ohio, which is cool because actually I'm a huge fan of two different podcasts out in Ohio, and I think some of them might listen. At least one of the podcasts does. New York, got lots of folks. So not every state is represented, but most of them are. A good chunk in Texas, Arizona, Utah, lots in Washington, Oregon, Tennessee, a little bit in South Carolina, North Carolina, Oklahoma. Yeah, so pretty much everybody except for Louisiana, New Mexico, Nevada, Montana, North and South Dakota, Kentucky, West Virginia, Vermont, New Hampshire. Looks like almost everybody else. So anyway, I just thought this was fun. Oh, lots of downloads in Hawaii too, which also makes sense because I've got lots of pals out there. Hey, none in Alaska. So anyway, I thought that was fun. So yeah, and I don't mean that in any sort of bragging way because you all are the reason that this podcast even exists and it can continue to exist. And otherwise, it would just be me talking to myself and occasionally a friend in front of a computer, which, I would still do. But anyway, I just really wanted to thank you all and remind you that, that this community is here. I'm trying to make it a little bit more, a little bit of a tighter community because we've got lots of listeners and just wanting to bring everybody together. So if you haven't already, check out not just the Facebook page, but the Facebook group is the, real place where you can come together for discussions and getting to know people. So if you ever feel like you need more support, whether you are already vegan or maybe you're just thinking about it and you have questions or, who are these vegans? What is this crazy thing? Please reach out to me and let's try to create this community because just looking at that, we've got listeners from literally all over the world, from all walks of life. Vegan doesn't hit one stereotype. All types of people become vegan for various reasons. Vegans come in all shapes and sizes. So just reminding you of that and what a beautiful thing that is. So I hope you have a wonderful next couple of weeks, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care. Because someone named Adam Russell, a bass player of Story of the Year band, found it. And let's see, which location? I'm not sure why it's so difficult to figure out which location of bagels he was at. Einstein Bagel bagels. Mayberry. Where's Mayberry? Einstein Bagels. Because I feel like it's probably all kind of in one region, you know? I don't know where this guy is. He has a lot of pictures from Einstein Bagels. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't. Sorry. Okay, is he in St. Louis? Whoa. It'd be crazy if they actually had this in St. Louis at their first location. Whoa. Dear Adam, if you're listening, where are you? Where is this Einstein Bagels? Oh, whoa. Here we go. Here's a map. I'm gonna be so mad if it's like Canada or Australia. That would be funny. Oh my god, he is in St. Louis, Missouri. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Maybe I'll edit that out. Maybe I won't. He's in St. Louis.